Hey guys, it is time to bust another myth. Late-term abortions don't really happen. We've got another special edition of our Myth Busted series, and I am here today with Dr. Steve Hammond. And Dr. Hammond has an amazing story. He is currently an OBGYN and has been in practice now for 40 years. He used to be an abortion doctor, and he is now redeemed of his past and works to save babies and deliver babies, and has been doing that for many years. So welcome to our Myth Busted series, Dr. Hammond.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So today we want to talk about late-term abortion. And a lot of people will say, there's just no such thing as late-term abortion. But what are the statistics?
Well, that's simply not true. Guttmacher, which is the statistic wing of Planned Parenthood, has reported that 1.3% of all abortions are late term. First of all, not all abortions are reported to the CDC, so we have really poor statistics on that. And secondly, abortion facilities do not report the gestational age of the babies that are being aborted, so we don't have that either. So it's really an estimate. And the third thing we don't really have is the definition of late term. It's generally felt that late term abortion means that a baby is aborted that would be viable or be able to live outside of the womb if it were delivered. 1.3% may sound like a small number, but when you consider there are about 1 million abortions in this country annually, a small percentage of a large number, still a large number. That comes out to about 12 or 13,000 of these late-term abortions annually in the United States.
So we're talking about 13,000 babies that could potentially live on their own outside of their mother's womb that are being killed for various reasons. That's a lot of babies.
It is a lot of babies. There was a study in 2013 that contradicted what some of the abortion providers said were the reasons for late-term abortions. They said things like fetal malformations and maternal sicknesses and so forth. In reality, the study that I mentioned said the reasons for late-term abortions are very similar to the ones for early abortions. Financial reasons, pressure from a boyfriend, a broken relationship, other social things that you can think of. So this late-term abortion is a gruesome thing, and very dangerous too, I might add. The baby is dismembered in utero. They actually pull the arms and legs off, the torso, the head, the largest part, has to be crushed to be able to come through the cervix. And it's dangerous because the uterus is distended more than it is in an early pregnancy, and the vascular supply is much greater. So the risk of perforation, the risk of blood loss, and all that's much greater. And this leads abortion doctors to prefer a technique, and that's called euthanize and deliver. They inject a lethal drug, a dose of digoxin, into the baby's heart to euthanize it, to kill the baby. And then they go through the process of induction and delivery. And they choose that mainly because the sharp bones of the larger baby that can damage the cervix and damage the uterus are not broken, and there's less chance of damage to the maternal soft tissues.
It's almost unbelievable to think about 13,000 babies suffering, being killed in this way every single year in the United States alone. In this barbaric way. I mean, we know that life is life from conception. We know that these babies in the late term have the same infinite dignity and human value as a child that is aborted at 6 weeks. But there is something even more heinous about an abortion of a fully formed child, a viable child in the late term, a child that is no doubt tortured, that is suffering during its death. And I have to believe that many of these women, certainly not all, but many of these women choose this method of abortion because they are convinced by a medical professional that this is the best road to take, this is the best option to take because their child has some sort of fetal abnormality. We saw that in the situation of a woman who had an abortion with a late-term abortion provider in Maryland, a very wanted pregnancy. And then the 33rd week of her pregnancy, she was convinced by her physician to abort her baby. Both she and her baby were killed by the abortion doctor.
I'd like to address something you touched on earlier. You mentioned the word torture. These babies feel pain, and you don't need to wonder about whether they feel pain or not. Just look at some of these babies in the neonatal intensive care unit who are born prematurely. When they get a heel stick or some other type of procedure done on them, they feel pain, they cry. So don't you think they're feeling pain in utero when they have their arms and legs pulled off?
What a joy it's been for you to lend your medical expertise to us and all of our viewers. Thank you so much for joining us on Myth Busted.
Thank you for having me, Abby. It's been a pleasure to be here.